Welcome back to Opening Statements. Now it's time for what is tipping the scales of justice. So we have a bond hearing set to happen later this afternoon for defendant Stephen Lawson. The 53-year-old father is facing conspiracy charges of tampering with physical evidence in connection to the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. She disappeared back in July of 2015, last seen at the farm of her then boyfriend, Brooks Houck. Let's take a listen together to Lawson at an arraignment hearing just a couple weeks ago.
I'd like to acknowledge the identity of the defendant, Stephen Eugene Lawson, on camera. I will waive formal arraignment, waive formal reading of this indictment, enter a plea of not guilty to indictment number 23 CR 165 count 1 and 23 CR 371 count 1. Move the court to file motions at a time and ask the court to consider reduction in bond at this time, and if not, set a special hearing for a bond reduction hearing.
Okay, so this hearing today is going to be the bond reduction hearing. And to put this all in context, Stephen Lawson has been someone that has indicated to law enforcement long before he was charged that he wanted to cooperate and give any information he had, says that he wasn't involved in Crystal Rogers' murder, but police charged him, and that seemed kind of stunning to him. And so it should be interesting today if there's still going to be an offer to cooperate, and maybe police just don't need his help. Maybe they don't want his help. Maybe they think they can make the case out without it. So who is this guy? We know he's connected to Brooks Houck, Crystal Rogers' then boyfriend. Let's take a look at the moment where Brooks Houck is in the interview room with the police detective, and then there's a call to Stephen Lawson.
Who is Steve Lawson?
He's somebody that works for me.
What did I tell you?
You told me that you would call, what's her name, Katie or whatever, she handles all that.
Crystal.
Crystal, okay, I apologize.
Yeah.
She said she handles all that.
Oh boy, let's talk about what's ahead for Mr. Lawson here. I want to bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown. Okay, Michael, is there some hope for this guy in still potentially getting a deal, even though he hoped the charges wouldn't be filed, but we know they've been?
Julie, it's a little strange because apparently, and the lawyer gave this up, that he had met with the federal authorities, the state authorities, the district attorney's office many times. So that means to me that there was a cooperation agreement. He was discussing all of the details of this case, his involvement and the involvement of the other defendants, and it fell apart. Because if it hadn't fallen apart, I don't think you would have seen him standing in a courtroom being charged with the crimes. Now, the next issue is, well, could they then use him down the road? Maybe, but it's unlikely because now he's kind of tainted in the sense that he probably wasn't truthful. All of these notes of the conversations and the meetings would be turned over to the defense attorneys on the other cases. And if he wasn't truthful and honest and forthcoming then, he really becomes very invaluable as a witness during the course of this trial.
Oh, great points, Michael. I am just so puzzled by this. We know that there's a relationship with him and Brooks Houck. So we know there's somewhat of a friendly relationship, or maybe part business, part friendship, whatever it is. And we know Stephen Lawson's son, Joseph Lawson's, also charged her. He was the first charge announced. And it was very weird, like this seemed to kind of come out of left field because we know that Brooks Houck was the guy under the microscope for so long as kind of the suspect in the minds of many in the true crime community, but never charged. So here you've got this father and son who are being accused of helping after the fact, with the removal of the car or whatever else police allege might have occurred here. Tell me, Michael, what advice would you give to Stephen Lawson today? Let's say you're his attorney and you're still hoping to maybe get those charges withdrawn or offer some sort of cooperation. What do you do today before the judge at the bond hearing?
Oh, in terms of the bail application, which is what I think you're referring to, Julie, I absolutely would stress a couple of things. Number one is this is a 2015 incident. My client had gone to the authorities. He's lived in the same home. He's been in the community. He's been functioning, working, being productive, and he has not fled. And that's the ultimate issue, at least here in New York, and I think in Kentucky. I don't know if there's a preventive detention component to their bail request, but the main issue is always risk of flight. Is the defendant going to return to court to the fruition of this case? So the answer is, and I always say this to judges, the proof is in the pudding. He's here. He's been around. He hasn't gone anywhere. So the bail should be significantly lower. I couple that argument with the fact that he has cooperated. He has volunteered information. He's been cooperative. So those two things, Judge, I would ask you to reduce the bail, let him be at his liberty, but obviously impose a reasonable bail that would ensure his appearance in court. But the $500,000 bond, that may be too much.
Right, Michael. Great arguments. I would hope his counsel is going to make those arguments that you made for us this morning on opening statements. We'll watch this hearing together when it happens live on Court TV today. Michael J. Brown, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much. And that is all for opening statements today. You can watch or share this episode if you want. Just go to courttv.com.